Hi, this is Karen McNall, and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And welcome to my Crafting with Karen series. And today we'll be creating these lip balm holders, and they look like this, front and back, and they're tied here with the 1/8 inch silver ribbon from Stampin' Up! And on the inside, you've got the Designer Series paper stack Petal Garden. And you've got the lip balm here secured by the Sweet Sugarplum band. And then we've got a little area here for stamping, and you can write a little message to the recipient. So let's get started creating these lip balm holders. Again, I'm getting ready for a craft fair, so I'm going to make 30 of these. I've never sold them, but I've been told and actually been requested to make them. So I thought I would give it a try. And then today's sample, we're going to change it up, and we'll be using Calypso Coral color theme. So the cardstock we'll be using to create the holder, the base of it is, this is Calypso Coral, and it's cut 3.5 inches tall by 5.5 inches across. I've pre-scored it at 2 3/8 and 3 1/8. So what we'll do is we'll just take our bone folder and we'll just give a nice crisp fold on each side. Our next piece is another piece of Calypso Coral cardstock, and this is cut 1 by 3, and I have scored it at 3/4 inch and 2 1/4. So we can just basically, we don't need our bone folder unless you really wanted to. I just use my fingertips here. And then the next thing we want to do is we're going to want to secure this on prior to adding our Designer Series paper. So we'll need some sticky strip. So let's bring that into the picture. I'll bring my silicone mat in here too. And we just need to add a piece of the tear and tape on here. You need something pretty secure. Fast fuse would work as well, but your regular adhesive may not work. Okay, so I've got that on there, and we're just going to remove the backings. And there we go. All right, so let's get rid of those pieces. Now what we're going to do is we're going to line this up, our score lines, in the middle. I'm just eyeballing it right now. My score line is right on top of that score line. I'm going to bring in my lip balm, and then I'm going to bring this one around so it matches up to the base score line here. So score line to score line on both sides. So that will secure it firmly. And we'll just take this out for right now because our next step is to add our Designer Series paper. So I've got 3 pieces of the Petal Garden Designer Series paper stack. This comes 6 by 6, and I'll get it for you so you can take a look at it. It's really beautiful paper. It is 2-sided. It's 6 by 6, like I said, and there are 48 sheets, and it is sold $10 per pack. So this is what you've got. Lots of Sweet Sugarplum, Old Olive, and that's Pool Party, Rich Razzleberry is another color in there, Calypso Coral. So lots of great colors, and we'll be using again the Calypso Coral. So let's attach our Designer Series paper. That's very easy to do, and we just need a regular adhesive for that. And to get the most out of your paper, I cut this 2 by 3 just because you can make 2 holders with 1 piece of the Petal Garden paper. And then we're going to add this to the left side. Again, I'm just eyeballing it right now. You could have attached these on before you added the holder. It might be a little bit easier for you, but I just did it that way. All right, our last piece. and this goes on the inside. And do whatever, you know, look at your pattern and just see where you, if you know which direction you want it to go. Okay, so that side is complete. Now let's complete this side, which is our stamping. So the stamps that we'll be using is the Jar of Love, and the stamps that I chose from here are, let's see, Throw Kindness Around Like Confetti. That goes on the front, and on the inside panel, I've got the For You, and on the inside panel again, I've got this little spray here. And this little image here and this image here are die cut using the Big Shot and the Framelits that come with this as a bundle. And I'll show you those right now. They are the Everyday Jars Framelits dies. There's lots of dies, but I have chosen two that we'll be using today. And it's the little flower. So when you stamp the image, you want to make sure that that little notch is going on the top from the stamp set, and this is this little spray die that will cut out that image. So let's do some stamping. We'll need our Stampin' Pierce mat along with some scrap paper, and I'll bring in my inside panel, which is a piece of Whisper White, and it is cut 2 by 3. I've got my Old Olive ink, and I've got this, let me just bring this into the picture, hopefully you can see this. And I'm just going to ink up the stamp, and I'm just going to stamp it off to the side and off the edge. And then I'm going to ink up the For You in Old Olive. And I'm just going to stamp that right off to the left side. So that piece is all stamped. And let's continue on with our stamping. For the outside, and this is where the sentiment area is, I'm going to ink that up in the Calypso Coral ink. And it, again, is Throw Kindness Around Like Confetti. But that was a really fun sentiment to use. So I'm just going to stamp this off to the right side, leaving a little bit more white space on this side. And now for our flowers. Got a scrap piece of Whisper White, and let me see if you can, I'll show you this, what I was talking about, that arrow. So when I stamp this, I want to make sure that that arrow is at the top, because when you die cut it, this will match up perfectly. So when we get our Stamparatus, this is going to be wonderful to use. And again, then we'll be stamping the leaf too. So I want 2 images from the flower in the Calypso Coral. And see, I got a little bit of ink on that little tab there, but it doesn't matter since we're going to be die cutting it. But if you were just stamping it on a card, oops, that one didn't come out very well, then you would want to make sure that you don't ink that up. And then let's clean my stamp with a Stampin' Scrubber. And we're going to stamp that flower with Old Olive. Okay. And now we're going to stamp that little spray. I got a huge block, but all my blocks are taken up from a card buffet I just did this weekend. So bear with me here with my blocks. I'm just going to stamp 2 images. This is a great way to use up your scraps. Those little pieces that you just keep knowing that you'll use them eventually. Okay, so those are all our images. Let me close up the ink pads because we don't want anything getting all ink. So let me just clean those, get those out of the way. All right, so I've done this ahead of time with my Big Shot just for sake of time, and I've attached each of these to a glue dot. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to assemble the inside, and then we'll work on the outside. So let's bring in our piece here. This again is the inside, and we're going to take our Whisper White piece that we did stamp, and we're going to add adhesive to it on all 4 sides, and then we're just going to put it down here. All right, now let's switch to the front. We're going to add a piece of the Whisper White, the one that we did stamped with the Calypso Coral, and I just run 2 strips of adhesive. Should be using my silicone mat, but I didn't think of that. And this just goes right in the middle here. All right, so now what we want to do is we need to create a hole here, and I'm going to bring in my 1/8 inch hole punch, and I'm just gonna, you can't hole punch all these 4 layers, actually 5 layers at once. So what I do is I take one and I just do the front and then pop it out. Then I'm going to close this up, making sure my edges are together. And then I'm going to bring my hole punch again, and I'm going to line it up with that pre-existing hole, what we had just punched, and punch through again. So now our holes line up. All right, very thick, so it's a little hard to get out of there. All right, so let's add our lip balm here. Again, I want to make sure it goes the correct way, and this should just slide right in there, and it's tight enough it will stay in place. And let's add our 1/8 inch ribbon. So hopefully I can get this on the first try. Keep it on the spool. So I'm just going to come up from the back. Hopefully. If you have a hard time threading it, just make sure your ribbon is cut at an angle, or you can also use your piercing tool to put it through. All right, so let me just create a bow live on camera. Hopefully I can get it the first try. Won't bore you to death here. I find that the thinner the 1/8 inch ribbon is a little bit more difficult because you don't have a lot to work with than the wider ribbon that Stampin' Up! Carries. So let's try again here. Hopefully I can get this. Always struggle with bows. Okay, there we go. It's a little large, so let's fussy around with that. So we just need to pull our tails here, and then just tighten it up again, and then we'll bring in our snips and we'll just trim up. I should have my ribbon scissors, but they're buried somewhere with my card buffet. Okay, so there's that. Oof. Sorry about that. That was kind of crazy. Okay, so now let's pretty this up here. So again, we've die cut these out ahead of time, and I've got them on my glue dots. When I'm mass producing, what I'll do is I'll do each step one at a time. So I'll lay out 30 of these bases, and then we'll just go to town with it. So I'm just gonna use my piercing tool to take them off. I'm gonna angle one this way here, and press down where that glue dot is, and then I'm going to use my piercing tool and I'm going to flip it this way, press down where that glue dot is. Now I'm going to fill this area up with those flowers we had die cut out. So I'm going to take the center one, which is going to be the green one. I'm going to put that one down first, and then I'm going to take the 2 Calypso Corals and just give it a little bit of dimension and put those on the top and off to the side. And there you have it. Isn't that cute? I just love it. So hopefully it'll be a big seller at my craft fair. It's coming up March 10th in 2018. If you are in the Colchester, Vermont area at St. Michael's College, there will be a craft fair there, over 100 vendors, and we are all crafting for a cause. And my cause is type 1 juvenile diabetes research foundation, as my oldest son is a type 1 diabetic. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, Crafting with Karen. And for all your Stampin' Up! Needs, please visit my website at inspiredbygram.com. Thanks for watching and have a great day.